If you're a parent, a murdered child is your worst nightmare, but what if the accused killer is you? That's the terrible reality for a young mother accused of stabbing her 6-year-old to death with scissors. She says it happened after hearing her, quote, laughing in an evil voice. The question is, why did this seemingly stable parent snap and bludgeon her child? This is a despicable crime, to kill a child. You saw the child there with scissors. That's not just a single blow. I mean, just think about that. This is somebody that had to go at it for quite a bit, with quite a bit of energy and resolve. The mother who did this, allegedly, Danielle Slaughter, had been taking a weight loss supplement known as Hydroxycut a week before the murder. Joining me to discuss this, legal analyst and host of Deadly Sins, Darren, I can never pronounce it. Kavinoky.
Common spelling.
I can never get it. I'll at least give a chance to hold on you and repeat your name a couple times. Pat Brown, author of Only the Truth, and nutritionist, dietitian Lisa Fishman. Lisa, does this make any sense to you, this Hydroxycut supplement? Have you seen people use it? Have you seen side effects?
Well, I've seen a lot of people come into my office, and personally, I've never seen anything positive result from it. I don't know.
So it doesn't work?
Well, I don't know if there's anything in it that causes weight loss. I'm not sure if there's anything in it that would cause anybody to kill their child.
To become psychotic.
To become psychotic.
I understand that one time there was, what is it, ephedra was in it?
Correct.
In the past?
In 2009, the FDA took ephedra off the market, so they took it out of Hydroxycut.
Now, ephedra, so people understand, ephedra is actually converted by your body into methamphetamine. So you take enough ephedra, you can get psychotic.
Correct.
Presumably this wasn't an old bottle of Hydroxycut.
Unless they know when she bought it exactly, it would have to have been bought, I assume, recently. There's no ephedra in that, and there would be no reason that psychosis would occur that I can think of, but there are other things that could cause her possibly that to become irate that are in there. There's very high levels of caffeine. They say 2 tablets of Hydroxycut are 325 milligrams of caffeine. That's 3 cups of coffee.
Scissors away from me tonight, Darren. I think you better get my defense ready because I've got way more than 325 milligrams.
Yeah, those early wake-up calls.
Maybe I should trade seats.
but does it drive you crazy when people go in the stores and just buy
they're always
supplements?
looking for an easy way, some way to lose weight without, you know, the hard work, and I don't know if that's possible, but if it were, I'd be retired.
I was going to say, wouldn't you be the one to know if it was possible?
If it was possible, I'd be retired, so, you know, that's, yeah.
All right, not possible. Darren, what about this insanity defense?
Yeah, well, it's certainly something we're likely to see. Fundamentally, people aren't punished unless there's moral culpability. And the idea that because of this condition, she's unable to appreciate the wrongfulness of her conduct, that is the genesis of an insanity defense. What gets very interesting here, though, is, and very nuanced, when people voluntarily take drugs, usually they cannot avail themselves of an insanity defense because of that voluntary action. However,
so the fact that they took the drug means they were not insane at the time they took the drug, therefore they're responsible for whatever happens.
Exactly. There's but where somebody takes a medication and there's an uncharacteristic reaction, something that was unanticipated, then it may be possible to still launch a successful insanity defense. And so here the fundamental question is, how are we going to characterize that Hydroxycut? And then, of course, the other thing from a legal standpoint is there may be something about diminished capacity. And we saw this famously in the Harvey Milk case with the so-called Twinkie defense. And so here that's something that could turn this...
Lisa's rolling her eyes at Twinkies.
Roll your eyes away. But if it's not guilty by reason of insanity...
It's Twinkies.
Yes.
But how do you know that the Hydroxycut was what caused the problem in the first place?
Well,
how do you know it's other medication she wasn't taking?
We don't know if there are other medications. We don't know if there's other things going on. She may have just been manic and psychotic. Right. And the fact is, I don't know if we, I'm going to first want to read something that the Hydroxycut makers have given us we need to read. And then I want to read something, if the control room has this for me, the quote that they found her muttering when she was wandering around the streets about having the blood of a lamb, or see if we can find it. But first, here's the Hydroxycut quote. This is a terrible, let's get this up here. This is a terrible tragedy. Our heartfelt thoughts are with the family at this difficult time. The circumstances are undoubtedly very complex, and it will be a long time before we understand what truly happened here. We stand by the safety of our products. Well, of course they're going to say that.
And by the way, also in the legal realm, there could very well be a civil lawsuit against the company that makes Hydroxycut if it was found that their product is culpable here.
How would you find out she ever took it? I mean, you can't test for Hydroxycut. It's not like when they ran a drug test on this woman when she went to the hospital, they could draw up Hydroxycut. It doesn't come up with marijuana.
There's lots of ways that you could prove that up in court.
Now, Pat, I want to go out to you. Apparently, they don't have the quote for me directly, but this woman was walking around the street. She was disorganized. She ended up in a hospital, presumably for a psychiatric evaluation. She had blood all over. She was muttering about having the blood of the Lamb of God on her hands. What do you make of all this?
Well, first of all, I'd like to say they have to do that psychiatric history, her behavioral history, her medical history. They need to do all of that. But I do have a problem with her story, and let me tell you what it is. She said she started taking that Hydroxycut 4 days prior to this happening, and within 1 day she started, feeling evil around her. Yet she kept taking this Hydroxycut. Then she says on the day this happened, she felt evil in the house. So she didn't send her child to school. She kept her child home, which makes no sense. You would think she would get the child out of there. Nobody else is around.
But Pat, if you're psychotic, everything makes no sense. People do all kinds of crazy stuff. But hold on a second, Pat. By the way, Pat, here's finally somebody who looks really, truly psychotic. Are we going to make her a psychopath too?
I'm saying we have to. Well, wait a minute. We have to look at her. As I said, we have to look at her history. But I don't see that Hydroxycut should do that to her. And I'm saying her story is a little suspicious. Then after this happens, after she does this to her child, she rips off her clothes and starts running around naked. Now, do you remember the Mark Hacking case? After he killed Lori Hacking, his wife, he ran around naked. Because that's one of the things. When you see a naked person, you say, oh, my God, this person's nuts, because we all fear of being naked in public. Now, and then she says she's got the blood of the lamb. Well, I'm not sure why, because she said the child was a devil at the time she killed her, so she'd have the blood of the devil. But you're saying it doesn't matter. She's going to have crazy thoughts.
Makes sense there.
Right.
But I have a problem with the fact that she didn't send her child to school. She kept her home when she said there was evil in the house, and she wanted the evil out.
But again,
if that child was evil, send her out.
Makes sense.
No, I understand what you're saying. You're trying to make sense of a psychotic process, which I would caution people against. But here's a nice email from Joan who says, diet pill defense, my buns. You have to control your impulses. Murder is murder. Self-control is self-control. She should do a guilty plea if you ask me. Darren, what about people that feel that way?
Remind me to challenge Joan if I run into her on a jury. No, there's a lot more to the story. The bottom line is that if there really is no impulse control, if there really is a psychotic
that's a hard thing to prove, and that's what Pat's getting at. And it's hard to prove that there isn't some force. Pat, you want to say that?
That Hydroxycut is just not the kind of thing that throws you over. Even if you take speed, quite frankly, usually you just run around cleaning your house and doing lots of fun things, and maybe you don't get sleep.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. But the Hydroxycut may have nothing to do with it. I want to read another Facebook quote. This is from Leanne. She has this to say, I think it is a post-Casey Anthony time now where all the nut jobs think they can get away with killing their children, and it's thoroughly disgusting. Insanity. See, what I see in this country, Warren, Darren, is a lack of patience or any willingness to consider the possibility, maybe it's because of Casey Anthony. We'll call it the Casey Anthony effect, of anything other than culpability when somebody hurts somebody.
Yes, and it's especially difficult in the area of mental health. And I'm sure you can appreciate, given what you do in your 9 to 5, that when it's not like a broken bone or something that somebody can readily see is wrong with the person, these mental health issues are exceptionally challenging, and unlike what most people think about the insanity defense, it's only brought in about 1% of the cases and only successful about 1/4 of the time.
So it's not likely, even if they bring that, unless there's an army of psychiatrists saying that this one was actually psychotic. I got to take a quick break here, and this is interesting. Danielle this woman that we're talking about was a no-show for her arraignment yesterday.